Welcome, everybody, to BVarsity Game Night for September 28th. I'm your host, Trevor Horn. I am joined.
You're not me.
by Josh Bennett,
Or
John
Josh.
Mettus, Teddy Feinberg. John, did you go to a blowout?
Yeah.
Teddy, did you go to a blowout?
Of course.
I went to a blowout. But the thing is, here's one thing that I did notice today. Right around 9:30, I was on the field at Stockdale, and this gust of wind came in, and I was like, okay, this is maybe nature's way of saying it's fall. League's play has started, so let's get this summer solstice out of the way, and let's get some fall ball
That
going.
was definitely one of the highlights of my game.
It was still like 90-something, so.
Yeah, so with that, here are your front page of sports, and your BVarsity page in the Bakersfield, Californian tomorrow. One thing before we get going, if you notice these two photos here, Centennial Liberty, a game you were at, Teddy, we'll talk about in just a second. This is the last photo gallery, and this is the last time you'll see photos in the Bakersfield, Californian after 40 years from Felix Adamo as the chief photographer. Felix retired today.
Yeah.
This was his last assignment as a chief photographer at the Californian. Before he went out, Mayor Kern County came into our newsroom and anointed September 29th as Felix Adamo Day in Bakersfield. A very well-deserved honor for Felix after 4 decades. Basically, he got hired here the year I was born. That tells you anything. So a wonderful career for Felix has come to an end. He is going to mosey on in retirement. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you this right now. That will not be the last time we'll see him on the sideline shooting for the Californian. Yeah. Just not as a employee of the Californian. So happy retirement to Felix Adamo. Let's get started with football.
Yeah, right? I'm with. Good call, Trevor.
Yep.
Congrats, Felix.
Yep, very much so. So let's start it off right away. Let's go with the big game tonight. And we start off with a dud.
It was a big game on paper.
It was a big game on paper, and it turned out to be a dud. Teddy, this is your game.
Yeah, it was my game, and I'm just going to come out and say, just for starters, I picked Centennial to win in the weekly pick, so I just want to get that out of the way right now. I threw up a complete air ball there. This game was not close, really, from the start. Liberty's first play of the game was a 60-yard touchdown pass, Hector Gonzalez to Ramon Henderson, who has some serious wheels.
We got some highlights.
Here's some highlights from the game. I can't really see the TV that well. There's Daniel Viveros with the sack, I believe. He's a force. He also had a personal foul penalty later in the game. He
was also honored with the state championship.
He was
in
the
shot put at the beginning of the game, which is kind of cool.
Stewart.
They did what they wanted to on the ground and through the air. Here's Sam Stewart, 59-yard rumble down to, the 15-yard line for Centennial. That set up a 3-yard score. Here's a 3-yard score moments later. Made the game 14-0 in the first quarter. Liberty went on to drop 34 points in the second quarter. They were up 48-0 at halftime. Here's Gonzalez. This is Winston. Is it Jaunty? Jaunty. He's a good player.
I do that. It's jaunty.
It's jaunty. Or he had 2 touchdown grabs. This was his second of the night, a 25-yarder. They just blew the game open. And to be honest with you, so Centennial had their first drive of the game, no huddle offense. They moved the ball downfield fairly effectively. Then they had a punt, though. This drive stalled out probably within their own 40-yard line or within the Liberty 40-yard line. They had a punt. From that point forward, honestly, I can't even recall them getting a first down. They couldn't run the ball between the tackles. They really struggled throughout. And, Liberty looked good, obviously. Their receivers got great separation on the Centennial DBs all night. Gonzalez threw the ball well downfield. We all know what Sam Stewart can do on a weekly basis. He's one of the elite backs in the area. So, he had a big game, and, it wasn't close.
So, kind of like what I alluded to in the previous predictions and my preview today in today's paper was Liberty is a team that just is showing that when they're supposed to beat a team, they annihilate teams.
They pounded them in this game.
They did it against Ridgeview. They did it against Clovis High. And now they've done it tonight against Centennial.
Yeah, I think in Liberty's case,
and Clovis West, sorry.
Tale of two teams. Liberty comes in, they beat a Centennial team that was 4-1, so Centennial was having a good year on paper. In Centennial's case, to be honest, so Liberty probably feels good about that. On the flip side of the coin, this is a demoralizing loss for Centennial. You feel like you're having a good year. You can't even compete.
But this, along with the game that I was at tonight, kind of shows you how strength of schedule in non-league rears its ugly head when you start league play.
I totally agree, Trevor. Honestly, Yeah, Centennial beat Golden Valley. They had the good win against Rigetti at home. They lost at Santa Maria. This was a rude awakening tonight. And I totally agree with that, Trev. And the reality is this, the SWYL's coming down to Liberty and BHS. I mean, more than likely. So that'll be good. Those teams hold serve. But yeah, Liberty looked really impressive tonight. And like I said, Centennial just got straight up pummeled.
Yeah, speaking of getting straight up pummeled, I was over at Stockdale tonight, and this game was over almost as quickly as it began.
Yeah, we had mirror image.
Yeah, we really did. So Bakersfield, after that big loss to Sierra Canyon last week, responds and rebounds really in the best way they have all season. This is the first time that the Drillers did not turn over the ball in the first half, and really they were dominating on both sides of the ball all night long. Let's go to the highlights, and it really did start on the very first play of the game. First offensive play, Cam Williams under center, pitches out to Isaac Jernigan. He's wearing USC gloves tonight, by the way, and he's acting like he's a Pac-12 recruit. Goes 66 yards on the opening play, and just like that, it's a 6-0 lead for the Drillers. Later in the first quarter, Cam Williams keeps the ball this time, trucks down 56 yards, nearly gets in the end zone, gets tripped up at the 6th. Very next play, Wesley Wilson, who actually had kind of a quiet night tonight as they were spreading the ball a little bit more. Wilson trucks it in from 6 yards out, and it's 13-0 BHS here in the first quarter. And we continue more scoring in the first. This time, Carl Jones hands off to Keontae Bell, and Seabell, yeah, that was, he had the spin move, he has the speed, he goes over the pole vault pit there in the back of the end zone, and it's 20-0 BHS at the end of the first quarter. And then Seabell gets into it here, gets the ball at the 30, trucks 2 defenders, goes the rest of the way for a 47-yard touchdown pass from Cam Williams.
Nice to see Seabell involved.
Yeah, they moved him to wide receiver. Him and Carl Jones are now split on the outside. And then finally, as we see Jernigan here with his second touchdown of the night, this one a 31-yard run, and he is to the house. And then finally, the final score of the first half, BHS actually brought in the second-string offense to start the third quarter because 40-0 at the half, because Cam Williams drops it off to Carl Jones, and Carl just does it himself. Cuts all the way back, jukes the entire secondary for Stockdale, and there you have it, BHS a victory. 40-7 tonight. Stockdale got a late touchdown against the second-string offense for BHS on a fumble recovery. But there you go, BHS, best offensive performance that they've had all season. Why? Because they didn't turn the ball over.
It's amazing how that works.
It's amazing how a good football team can be a great football team when they don't turn the ball over, and that's exactly what you saw at BHS. And then Evan Burkhart, who has really kind of been the man for Stockdale all year, was sacked 7 times tonight. He couldn't do anything. He had no wiggle room whatsoever.
Yeah, you're not running away from that defense.
No, I mean, I asked him afterwards as we were walking out, and he's like, dude, they were spying me all night. And I was like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
In that swarming BHS
you got to run
defense.
I haven't seen Stockdale play, but you have to run right at them with a strong offensive front and a strong running game. You cannot run. You can't try to run east-west. You got to go north-south.
Right.
And I know we mentioned yesterday we thought Stockdale might have had a chance without Carl Jones playing. Of course, he played obviously today, but I mean, looking at your highlights, I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah,
the way they played.
It was pretty impressive. I mean, Carl only got about 4 or 5 plays at quarterback. We finally saw him hand off, and you saw what happened. Seabell just went, boop, 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 gone. So, hey, if you guys are watching us on Facebook, by the way, right now, if you want to chime in, you got any questions for us, go ahead and hit there on the comment section, and we'll help you guys out if you have any questions. Let's go to the third and final Southwest Yosemite League game. This one was not a blowout. It was actually nothing at the half. Steve Lynch got the story in late. Josh, can you help us out with this one a little bit, if you don't mind?
0-0 late. Didn't see any scoring to the third quarter. It's homecoming there, so Steve Lynch had to wait a while to see some scoring, but
we got Joseph Campbell completed a 43-yard pass to Daniel Tobias, set up an 11-yard touchdown run by Tobias, and Isaiah Bell had a 74-yard pick six to lift the Rams to the 14-7 victory.
Yeah, all they needed.
So that's 3 wins.
Frontier had a bunch of first-half turnovers. Honestly, this seemed like a really scrappy game for sure.
Frontier's only scored 12-yard touchdown pass from Montano to Colton Baker. Campbell, only 123 yards, but it's all he needed. So
yeah, and as Steve Demler says, it was nice to see Isaiah Bell get in there. He'd been injured since he got injured in the first half against San Joaquin Memorial, and then J.P. Lefevre, who they thought that he was going to be out for the season, actually played tonight on the offensive line. So Garza's actually playing at full strength, and again, preseason strength of schedule one more time.
Yeah,
even in this one.
And Garces has proven actually, I should pump the brakes a second when I talk about that Liberty Bakersfield High situation, because the reality is Garces has proven in the past that they can go in and rock the boat on that. Last year, Garces beat BHS, you know what I mean? So they've proven they can do that.
I agree with you to an extent. They did it last year, but I think it was a year where Liberty and BHS were actually in down years last year, and they were able to capitalize on that. I don't actually see it happening this year.
Yeah.
As good as Garces could be, I just don't think that they're as good as Liberty and BHS are.
Yeah.
So if you're going to look at a pecking order, it's going to go BHS, Liberty 1, 1A, however you want to see it, on October 26th, and then Garces 3, and then
I just said earlier it's going to come down to those two teams. I said it pretty unequivocally, but Garces just proven before they can.
No, it's a very talented team, but
mean,
if you can't get any scoring in the first half,
a fair point.
It's going to be hard to do that against those two defenses, two of the best defenses in the Central section.
Yeah, although the Rams D 5 takeaways held the Titans to 198 total yards, so they can hang their hat on that.
They can very much so. Yep. Let's move into the SYL now. First game up.
Yeesh.
Yeah. So we kind of figured this one was going to get out of hand early, and it did. Golden Valley really, they're suiting up 18 guys on the team. It's tough to be able to win football games like that. So Ridgeview comes and is victorious 7-0 in this one. The Wolfpack moved to 4-2 overall. First, 1-0, and then Golden Valley is still winless. So
good for Ridgeview. They won 70-0. Honestly,
they're up 50-0 at the half. Justin Hinzo 6 for 7, 96 yards, 4 touchdowns.
They did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Sean Allen 8 carries, 159 yards, and including a 92-yard run, and they held Golden Valley to 27 yards of offense and 3 turnovers. So
it sucks for Golden Valley.
Yeah. I guess their offensive adjustments went pretty well.
Well, yeah. You look at everybody else. Taj didn't run the ball at all tonight. Elijah Alexander Williams didn't run the ball all that well. But, the offense worked for Ridgeview tonight when you've got Justin Hinzo going 6 of 7 for 96 yards at 4 touchdowns. 4 of your 6 completions were
is it even like a litmus test?
No.
It's like I
scrimmage.
said yesterday. This is a game that you try out these adjustments, see if they work.
I'm not trying. I feel bad for Golden Valley. It sucks, but whatever.
Yeah, it does. So Ridgeview gets the victory. And moving on in the SYL. John, you want to take this one over? Since,
as I'm putting my highlights into the server.
You just got back from this one?
Yeah, this one, you look at the score, it looks like it was this huge blowout, but West was actually in control of this game in the first half. West was up 10-6 at the end of the first half. Then they got an interception early in the third quarter. And then Jacob Moran was kind of the spark for BCHS. He's able to grab an interception on the very next play. Then he throws a touchdown pass. He ends up throwing 3 touchdown passes. And BCHS just ran away with it. They outscored West, 43-6 in the second half. So, they made some adjustments on the line. They stuck Moran in at quarterback, and BCHS just ran away with it.
John, compare some of the other games he went. This almost went down to the wire.
I know. Yeah, well, what can you do?
So, this is how you respond after losing 83-0 on national television.
Yeah.
Took him a couple quarters, but yeah.
And their first game in a new league too. You know what I mean? It's nice for them to come out and get a W, and they're trying to make a name for themselves too, and prove they can compete. Stepping up this year, so good for them.
So the Eagles victorious. West falls to 3-3 overall as BHS improves to 3-3 overall. And in the final South Yosemite League game, up on the hill Independence victorious 27-6 from Tehachapi. We do not have any stats from this one, but the Falcons do get that all-important first victory, and they do it up in the cold. Obviously, a little bit cooler up there tonight in Tehachapi, and get a good victory. 4 wins now, 4-2 overall. Tehachapi is now 1-5. Tough run for the Warriors this season. So Independence victorious 27-6.
Independence, they've had a nice year under Schwabel in year 1. To be honest with you,
they really have.
He's done a nice job with the offense. Done a pretty good job with that team.
Moving into the SEYL, and Andrew Mace brings it up on Facebook. Is it the most wide open league? Maybe. This one,
I think so now.
Yeah, this one confuses me. Foothill, a team that has, I think, only scored 14 times in the first 5 weeks.
Something like that, yeah. I don't think they scored 14 in the game.
Were you able to follow
so.
this from the office closely? Or
was a little bit. I saw Lomax scored a couple times, but
Lomax,
and I saw the 28-14 score. I was like, oh, it's probably early.
I wonder if it was like 14-7.
Yeah, and then I didn't get an update for the rest of the game, so I don't know what happened.
Huh. Okay.
But here is South, who was averaging 50 points a game. So here's South, a team that was averaging 50 points a game in the first 4 weeks of the season. Takes a lump last week in a 27-26 loss to West, and then they respond by beating a winless team by just 2 touchdowns, which is very confusing to me. So,
yeah, especially where they're scoring at will, and they can only score nothing against Foothill, but only 28 against Foothill. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on. Why is it so wide open? Because North, a team that started the season 0-3 and looked completely dysfunctional, turns it around. And here we go one more time. They defeat Highland tonight on the road, 35-16. Our director, Diana Rodriguez, was out there tonight. Let's look at some of the highlights. Highland did get on the board early as it was homecoming, obviously. And sure, why not have a football player as the homecoming king? And really, seeing the band for Highland come out is always one of the best traditions in Bakersfield. And their sophomore, A.J. Cleveland, with the early touchdown for the Scots. And Highland has an early 7-0 lead on the first series of the game. And then they tack on 3 more here at the field goal. And they have a 10-0 lead over North. And you're thinking, hey, is Highland can they hold on? So here we are in the second quarter. But North... Chris Romero, there is the arrow on Romero. And the senior with the short touchdown run cuts the lead to 10-7 just before halftime. And then North's defense comes to play. There is James Johnson, strips it. Diana got confused. And then notice Julius Mahal takes it in for the fumble recovery for the touchdown. And the Stars victorious tonight over the Scots. 35-16. So North. So last year, now remember the SEYL only had 5 teams in it last year, now, because East left the SYL, moved in. So you had a 3-team race at the end, and it ended up with North. Actually, North beating Highland to end Highland's perfect season in the regular season finale, and then you had a 3-way tie for the league play or for the league title last year between South Highland and North. And then, do we see that again this year?
North's a feisty bunch.
Yeah, I mean, very reminiscent of how their
Where's
season
your helmet?
It's in my car.
Oh, come on, Josh.
I was cleaning out my desk.
You know what? That might affect
your
next
desk.
week.
Where are you going?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
We're moving soon.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It's also Josh's last day.
Yeah.
No!
Yeah, no.
No, don't even joke about that.
Yeah, October 1st is Josh Bennett Day.
In But yeah, very reminiscent of North's season. I mean, slow start, and who cares? They just get rolling. It takes them a while, though. I don't understand this. North's obviously a talented team. And that 3-3 record is because they start out awful. I don't understand. If they could play as well as they do in September and October, in August, this would be a ranked team at this point. But they're not because of the slow start.
But really, you talk to Brian Nixon at Liberty, you talk to Paul Gola at BHS, and I'm sure you would get the same thing out of Norm Brown at North.
Yeah.
The preseason doesn't matter.
No, of course not. But
the non-league really is preseason in terms of the NFL.
Yeah.
Because those games, if you win or lose those games, if you go 5-0 or 0-5, it doesn't factor in on whether or not you win a Central Section title.
Let Jay Ben vent a little bit. You know?
No, I completely understand, but it's just like, you know, this is the second or third straight year this has happened. Like, you would think they could figure out how to start decently.
You want to know what? They have Brown just has a unique way. And,
yeah.
You know, the bottom line is that by the end of the year, they're where they need to be. That's all that
and
matters.
honestly, big win for North, and realistically, they can look forward to South, and if they beat South, you know,
they're in the
league's
driver's
theirs.
seat.
Yeah,
the league is theirs.
It balls in their court at this point, I think.
Yeah, especially after this third SEYL game where you've got East, a team that you really thought was kind of on the downward spiral, comes in and beats Miramonte and snaps Miramonte's 2-game win streak.
Yeah, Miramonte had their time in the sun.
Yeah, here we are all thinking that Miramonte was just going to start rolling and go on a 3-game win streak, only the second time in school history.
Yeah.
And the Blades just came out. Josh, what do you got from this one?
Yeah, Nate Martinez, 3 touchdown rushes, compiled 143 yards from scrimmage, 104 rushing, 39 receiving. Also recovered a fumble on defense. And Richard Lara, East quarterback, 11 for 14, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also threw a pick, but he caught a pass, 35 yards on a trick play, probably a Philly special.
Of course.
Yeah. Miramonte did get a little help from Shamar Oliver, 75 yards on 17 carries and a touchdown, but East forced 2 fumbles, scored on both of them, and just went up early and often.
Only 2 wins for East this year, but both of them they rolled. They dropped 40 points in both of them and blow out.
I mean, you would think you get more out of Miramonte, but I guess not. So
they got
I
their
still
2
think
dubs.
that the SEYL is a 3-team race between North, Highland, and South.
I mean, I agree, and that Highland South game is going to be huge, obviously. So.
Yep. So there you have it. Those are the 3 Yosemite leagues in town. Let's move on to the SSL now. And Kennedy, we talked about this game yesterday.
Good
we
game.
knew that this game, these 2 teams were so similar in terms of offense and defense, and it really did come down to it. It's a tough test.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Kennedy, likely in their toughest test of the year before they play Shasta.
Wasco's tough on their home field too.
They really are, and so you have Kennedy remaining undefeated at 7-0 now with a 19-14 win over Wasco.
Rally too. Wasco was up 14-13.
And then
Great game.
And then Tyreek Walker, came to play in the second half and got the Thunderbirds on, above. And now you really got to think that October 18th showdown in Shafter is going to be 2 teams that are 8-0 because they're both going to have a bye between now and then, and they got one more game.
No, it's 100% happening now.
Yeah,
This was the one question mark.
And this is pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
That you look at this new look SSL that looks like the way the SSL was always supposed to look, and it's supposed to be county teams and nobody from Bakersfield in it after BCHS leaves. And now you have all these, 1 town, 1 schools, or like Delano, you've got 3.
2,
You got 3 schools.
Well, yeah,
and
3
2 of them in that
league,
school.
yeah.
It's like I want the Kennedy Shafter game to be good, so I don't think I can go because if I go, it's going to blow out. So
You're not going, I'm going.
But yeah, like I said yesterday,
we'll
teams,
both go.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big night. So
Yeah, but like I said yesterday, both these teams obviously can run the ball. It's going to come down to defense, and it sure did tonight.
Yep. And then also in the SSL, number 25, Shafter continues to roll over competition. This time, 49-0 win.
Only 49 of
Yeah,
them?
that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So 49-0 winner over McFarland.
Yeah.
After starting the season 4-0, the Cougars have now lost 3 straight in SSL play, while Shafter, like Kennedy, is 7-0 overall, 3-0 in league. Another big night for Alex Aguilar. What were his stats?
Yeah, 17 for 22 passing, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for another 119 and 3 scores. That brings his total touchdown for the season to 39.
39 in 7 games.
Yeah.
He's a machine.
Banjo Avila led Shafter with 182 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jackson Sanchez, Felix Chacon both had receiving touchdowns.
I'm going to do some math here. Keep talking.
Oh, that was all I had.
Okay.
Yeah, Aguilar he's the Johnny Manziel of the SSL.
Okay, let's put it this way. Shafter right now is on a collision course to probably play 13, 14 games this season, right? And the pace that Alex Aguilar is on right now, he's going the section record for touchdowns scored by a quarterback is 62.
Yeah.
Last done by Brandon Jones. We talked about it all season long. He's on pace for 80 right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Aguilar watch at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to be winning 49-0 every week, but
They might be until
They're
I mean,
not?
they
Kennedy.
kind
Well,
of.
maybe,
okay.
maybe other than Kennedy and maybe other than late.
That's why I said every
D5
week.
plays.
But
I mean,
Yeah.
unless Teddy goes to that game, then they might. But
If I go to that game, it's 69-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta avoid that.
yeah, I mean, they scored 7 times tonight. And Alex was 5 of them. So
Andrew Mace brings up a good question, and I think the answer unequivocally is yes. Could Shafter Kennedy be the D5 finals? Yeah, because
Absolutely.
right now they are definitely the top 2 seeds in that.
yeah, and you got to think if they play at worst, they'd be a 1-3, which
Yeah.
is still a final. So
Because the thing is that if Shafter wins, that's a huge boost.
Yeah.
But Shafter still has to beat Wasco at the end of the
they
season
do.
as well.
Wasco's obviously a tough
Yeah,
team. So
but Kennedy already has a win over Liberty Madera Ranchos, and Carruthers is there. But the strength of schedule for Shafter and Kennedy is higher than Carruthers, so they right now are the top 2 teams
Yeah.
in D5, which would be so neat when you think about it. How cool would that be to have 2 rival schools going at it for a section championship?
Absolutely, yeah.
In Kern County, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody
And-
goes.
yeah, exactly. And their regular season matchup that's in Shafter, right? Or is that in Kennedy?
It's in Shafter.
It's in
I
Shafter.
believe.
So
I'm
yeah,
pretty
so
sure
Kennedy
it's in
wins that.
Shafter.
They host them on their home field.
Yeah,
Or
which
Shafter
is a great
can host
site
them
for
again.
a small school.
Exactly.
Other SSL score tonight: Arvin, big victory over Chavez, 44-0. The Bears roll. They are now 4-2 after winning just 2 games last season, 1-1 in league play. Chavez falls to 2-5 overall, 1-2 in league play. Let's move on, Diana, if you
Arvin's going to
will.
get some November football.
Yep. Delano is going to have a tough run in the EYL. You've got 3 teams still undefeated: Porterville, Tulare Union, and Tulare Western. And Delano really no shot tonight against Tulare Western, a team that's probably the number 2 seed in D2 at this point, behind league rival Tulare Union.
Yeah, and Union, Porterville both won today. So
Yeah, so there you go. You've got 3 teams in the EYL that now are combined 33-0. And so Tulare Western moves to 6-0 overall, 1-0 in league play. Delano falls to 3-3 and 0-1. Moving on. High Desert League, Cal City holding on to beat Kern Valley. 33-22. Cal City now 3-3 overall. Gets that first crucial league win, while Kern Valley falls to 1-6.
surprisingly
overall.
competitive game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's closer
I-
than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you're going to get with this league. I don't think
Yeah.
any team really is better than anyone else. I
No,
think it's very-
especially with how bad Rose was in this year. It's wide open.
Speaking of that, moving on, Boron defeats Rosamond tonight, so the Bobcats get a big victory. They're only their 2nd of the year.
Yeah.
Both teams are now 2-5 overall, 42-32 win for the Bobcats. Mojave River, Burroughs still cannot get anything going this year. They fall to Apple Valley 61-0 in the MRL League opener in the Southern section. So Burroughs is now 0-6 after advancing to the semifinals in the Southern section playoffs last year. Apple Valley is now still undefeated at 6-0.
Yeah.
8-man Mission Prep. We had our boy Matt Alvarez at this one.
Oh,
helping
I
us
saw
out
him
with the
tweeting. That
tweets.
was awesome. Thanks,
Yeah,
Matt.
it's nice when Kern County Sheriff that works Fraser Park. You can go and watch some football games before he's got to coach up BC tomorrow night. So 41-0 winner for Mission Prep. They remain undefeated at 6-0. Fraser Mountain falls to 1-5. And finally, an 8-man ball. Villanova Prep, a 68-0 win over Maricopa. Maricopa, the Indians, still winless this season, while Villanova Prep is now 4-1. So there you have it, guys.
Yeah. One important out-of-town score: Central defeated Buchanan 42-24.
So guess who's the new number 1?
Yeah.
After not being the number 1 for like 5 days. So I looked at it and I said, you know what? Buchanan had a great game against De La Salle. Central strength of schedule is not as high as Buchanan's. I gave Buchanan their moment in the sun, going, you know what, go prove it. And they didn't. Trent Tompkins again. I think he had 5 or 6 touchdowns again tonight for Central. And they're rolling. Alex Aguilar is not going to be the only one that's going to, break that Central section record for touchdowns for the quarterback, because Trent Tompkins is going to do the same thing. It's the record's going to be broken this year. It's just going to be out of Aguilar or Tompkins, who's going to have more by the end of the year.
Yeah, although looking forward, though, that Liberty loss to Buchanan kind of hurts more and more now.
Oh, it does, definitely. I was talking to Sean McEwen at halftime, the BHS offensive coordinator, and I go, with the way the Central's rolling right now, you guys, nobody in Kern County is going to, get the number 2 seed.
No.
Unless Buchanan somehow loses like Clovis or Clovis East in league play, which I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those two teams, Central's going to go 5-0, Buchanan's going to go 4-1, and even if BHS or Liberty go 5-0, neither one of them, obviously Liberty can't take the 2 seed.
Liberty's
and then
going to be
Bakersfield,
on the road in the semis
yeah, and
regardless,
Bakersfield still won't.
Yeah.
And, you know, McKeown looked at me and was like, but we would be league champs if we did that. And I go, it doesn't matter, though. That's not the way that the coaches are going to vote.
Yeah.
And your strength of schedule isn't good enough because, you know, with Buchanan being able to play De La Salle, that boosts your strength of schedule up a lot. So, Teddy, your takeaways from kind of a dud, if you will, to open up league play?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish the game I was at was more competitive, honestly. That was my big takeaway. Liberty just smashed Centennial. Good win for the Patriots, really bad loss for the Golden Hawks.
Yep.
Liberty's very good.
Yeah.
Rocky Wright, Ridgeview won big 70-0. If you're asking who won between Ridgeview and then Dylan Rutledge, yes, we did go over north. If after the show's over, you can rewind and go and look at the highlights that we had from Diana Rodriguez, North won in that league opener. John, you know, you're out of BCHS. This is a team that lost 83-0 to a nationally ranked Oaks Christian team on national television. You talked to Darren Carr. What was your takeaway? What was his takeaway from this one?
Well, it's funny. Well, first of all, Darren, you know, he said, well, I guess we're a second half team, and I got to figure out a way to get us to start quick because, you know, they were down 10-6 at halftime. And I brought up the game last week, and he kind of chuckled a little bit when I first brought it up. And he's like, you know, yeah, there were those special team plays that they wanted to have back that they weren't happy about, but, you know, he's going to welcome that competition all the time. He wants to play that game. He's going to let ESPN come whenever they want. He wants it to be on TV. He said, you know, the next day on Saturday they went over the stuff. The kids were back in the locker room. The guys were focused. So he didn't think it was, you know, there was a hangover or anything like that from that game or any sort of embarrassment or whatever for it being on national television.
It's funny because we talk about the Southwest Yosemite League, and I think we got a pretty good indication that it's Liberty and BHS. In the SEYL, we get a pretty good indication that it's going to be North, Highland, or South.
Yeah.
In the SSL, it's Shafter or Kennedy right now with Wasco, a very close number 3. We don't, after week 1, we don't know what we have in the SYL. We really don't. That Ridgeview game against Golden Valley gives us nothing. This BCHS game, this win over West, kind of makes you scratch your head, and obviously, you know, hopefully a quick recovery to LJ Lalau, who we found out has a torn meniscus, and he's going to be out 4 to 6 months. A standout junior running back, so we wish him, you know, nothing but the best in his recovery from that. But you look at that, and you wonder, is Independence right there with BCHS and Ridgeview? Yeah. So you might have 3 teams in the SYL right there at the top. So it's interesting because no one team is a unequivocal favorite in any of the 4 leagues in Kern County, which is nice to be able to say here moving into October on Monday.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a race in all 4 leagues. It's nice.
Yep. Bennett?
I'm glad to see league play back. Not glad to see the blowouts still be here, but I mean, just for good football, if anything. But I mean, like you said, I think we know who the top teams are, so just kind of circle those games and just kind of wait for them to happen. They should be good games.
Yeah, and I look at it too. And, you know, we think about it. We've kind of get an idea, and maybe the schedule makers kind of knew who the top ones are going to be, whether they did or not. But that's the way it kind of plays out. The top teams did what they were supposed to do. BHS and Liberty, they showed, you know, and even BCHS and Garces to an extent too. All 4 of those teams showed why they play tough non-league schedules, and that's because the games don't matter anymore. You don't have to go 13-0 to get to a state playoff. All you have to do is win your section title.
Yeah.
So if that's the end goal, then play those tough teams in the first 5 weeks. Take your lumps, and like Paul Gola always says, get exposed, if you will, but get exposed early. Know what you're not good at, know what you're good at, and then funnel all that, and then get that into the games that now matter, and that's winning tonight, winning the rest of the league over the next 4 weeks, and then getting into the playoffs and playing your best football.
Yep.
So I think that's the, you know, we talk about, oh man, you know, BHS couldn't hang with Sierra Canyon or Servite, or Liberty had problems with, you know, Buchanan, and who was their other loss to? Oh, Mission Viejo in week 1. Garces, obviously, tough schedule. They played Bosco. You know, BCHS played Oaks Christian. None of that matters now. Now they're just playing for league, and league titles and a shot in the playoffs. So
Pretty much, yeah.
And what excites me more too is that with the Mountain League and the Ocean League now in the Central Section, playoffs they're not a given anymore. You have 17 teams in D1, and if nobody says no, we're not playing, somebody's going to be left out, and that's fun to me because that's good competitiveness.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at some of these games too, like we're starting to see the puzzle pieces fall into place too when it comes to seeding and where they might fall. So,
yep. So there we have it. It's the last Friday night in September. We're going to move into October, which means on Monday morning we're going to say November's next month, which means the Central Section Championships are going to be on the night after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Mark Villanueva brings that up. Yeah, Mark, we're likely going to have somebody playing the day after Thanksgiving a section title game the way the teams are playing right now, especially between
could have
Shafter
two in a
and
couple
Kennedy.
of the divisions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a dud night, but it's always good to have football. Nice to have the weather come down a little bit, and so next week it'll be in the 70s and 80s, so it'll really feel like football weather. So
we only got a month to go in the regular season.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's gone by like that.
Yeah.
I mean, really, as we talk about, football on August 17th has really made this season kind of fly by. So
An early start.
Yep. All right. Josh Bennett, John Mettus, Teddy Feinberg, our director Diana Rodriguez, Felix Adamo. Farewell, my friend. I am Trevor Horn. This is BVarsity Game Night. We'll be back next week. You guys have a great one. Go see BC tomorrow. They're at home. Bye-bye.